More than everyone. So today I wanted to do something a little bit different. I wanted to do something called a fighter spotlight. This is going to be a series where I focus on an individual fighter, some present, some from the past, and basically talk about why I think they're great. Now, the fighter I want to focus on today is Gervonta Tank Davis. This guy is arguably my favourite fighter at the moment right now. He's probably second only in terms of the face of boxing to Canelo. Probably the reason being his knockout reel, his highlight reel is incredible. If you go on YouTube and have a look, you're going to have a lot of fun. Now, let's talk about his offense. That's a big part of the reason why his knockout reels are so phenomenal. Now, he's got a great jab, and he tends to use mostly two different types of jab. One type of jab where he's pouring out, and he kind of uses that to keep his opponents where he wants them, and then he comes back with counters. His other type of jab is more of a sharp jab that he uses more as a weapon. He's also got a lot of variety. He's got every shot in the book, basically. Doesn't tend to throw lots of combinations, but his shots are so powerful, and like I said, his variety is so good that doesn't seem to matter. His backhand, again, phenomenal shot. He's got an unreal back uppercut that he knocks loads of people out with. Back hook, straight backhand, so sharp, so accurate. Now, his offense, yes, it's special, it's phenomenal, but I think what makes Gervonta really special and maybe one of the best fighters out there right now is actually his defense. He does a lot of things not by the book, not textbook, but when you're looking at these next level fighters that are kind of maybe all-time great fighters, they tend to do a lot of things that aren't by the book. When you're looking at your Mayweathers, when you're looking at your Lomachenkos, there's a lot of things that they do that maybe coaches wouldn't teach, and some people would possibly even say are bad habits or kind of things that you shouldn't do, but they do them in such special and clever ways where they make it work for them, and like I said, it makes them really special. Now, let's talk about his defense. A lot of the time, what he does is he'll jump in with a shot, again, something that you're told not to do. But he managed to do it really safely because what he'll do is he'll smother his opponent straight after he's landed that shot. He'll use either his elbow or his forearm, maybe his shoulder, or when he throws that shot and jumps in with it, steps in with it, pushes in with it, however he does it, he takes that head off the centre line so he's safe. He's also got phenomenal head movement. He tends to move his head from his waist, puts his head into a safe pocket, and then lets his counters go. He uses his hands to deflect shots, so he doesn't really take that full whack ever because he's always deflecting. If he doesn't manage to move his head, he'll use his hands to catch or parry or whatever it is. Um, Now, another thing that makes him really, really hard to work out is he's constantly changing his shape. He hasn't technically got a shape. A lot of fighters, you can go on YouTube, watch them, and you can work out what their shape is. How far do they spread their feet? How do they hold their feet? Where do they hold their shoulder? Where do they hold their hands? But with Tank, you can't really do that. When he's boxing at long range and maybe a bit more defensive, he tends to have a really wide stance. He moves his weight from his front foot to his back foot, and that way, what he can do is he can move his head in and out of range when he wants to, and then let his hands go when he wants to, moves himself back in range without even moving his feet. Now, when he's being more offensive, what he tends to do, obviously, much closer to his opponent, and he'll be more square on. Now, again, something you're not told to do, but when he's square on, what he can do is he focuses on power shots and he can move in and out of range laterally. So he'll go around the side of his opponent, changing the angle. Again, really hard to work out. Now, when Gervonta first turned pro, one of his mentors was Floyd Mayweather. Everyone knows Floyd, and Gervonta, as he should have, took some stuff from Floyd, which you can see when he's in the ring. One of those things is he baits his opponent. So one way to do that is he'll put a lot of his weight on his front foot, have his hands up pretty high, and what that does is it makes his opponent want to attack. They tend to make mistakes, they tend to overreach, and then Gervonta can really kind of capitalize on that. Another thing he does is, and again, this is when he's being maybe more offensive, he'll have his hands in a really high guard. He'll tend to have his gloves up by his temple. That way he can take shots on his gloves and come straight back. It allows his opponent to think they can let their hands go, and then Davis will make him pay. Another thing that he does that Mayweather used to do is the Philly shell. So he'll use his front shoulder to catch the jab, sorry, to catch the backhand, and then he'll use his backhand to block to the head from the head and the body. He does all of these things extremely well, and he swaps from one shape or one form of defense to the other without his opponent even noticing it. So his opponents are constantly having to adjust. Again, this is what a load of the greatest fighters do. Their opponents can't adjust to them, which means that you're always playing catch up. Now, if you're going to go on YouTube and have a look at him, I would say maybe have a look at Hector Garcia. That fight's great because what you see is in the first few rounds, what Gervonta does is he's taking his time. He's not even really trying to win those rounds, but he's having a look at his opponent. He's working out their speed, working out their power, looking at their shape, and then he takes it through the gears. If you want to see a phenomenal knockout, I would say watch the Leo Santa Cruz fight. That one is unbelievable. Um, Now, going forward with Tank, it's kind of hard to know what's coming. He's such a big name that he can kind of call the shots. I think if he wanted any fight, if he called it out, he could make it happen. Um, and yeah, I'm really not sure what's coming next with him, but whatever it is, I'll be watching. We have heard rumours of a Lomachenko fight, but I don't think that's going to happen. It looks like it's fallen through. And to be honest, I'm quite glad about that. I'm a huge Lomachenko fan. Um, it would have been one of the best fights of all time. I know that's a big shout, but I really think that. But I think because they're both so unconventional and both so smart, it would have been unreal. However, as much as I think Lomachenko has still got loads in the tank, as far as I'm as far as I care, I think that he beat Haney. I still think he's got loads left. I still think he would beat loads of the lightweights around right now, but he's still undeniably he's not the Lomachenko from years ago. So that fight isn't one that I'm really desperate to see. What I would love to see is for Gervonta to fight Shakur. Two big names in the sport, two massively clever fighters, and it would be great to see how they work that one out, the game plans they choose to implement, and I think the run up to that fight would be great as well. But I really don't know what's coming next for Gervonta. Um, Now thinking about it, if you're in his opponent's corner, if your fighter is boxing Tank, I'm trying to think of ways that you could beat Tank. Now, I think you've got to be a pressure fighter. I think you've got to throw combinations, but I don't think that's enough. I think you've got to throw combinations, but have great feet. You've got to take your feet with you. You can't leave yourself suspect. But the thing is with being a pressure fighter is you tend to rush. And if you're rushing, you tend to make mistakes. And if you're going to make a mistake, Davis is going to pick you up on it and he's going to knock you out. So, I mean, it's a big ask to beat this guy. He's got power. If you end up having a shootout with him, he's going to come out on top. When you watch a lot of his fights on YouTube, it's funny because even when not that much is happening, the fans and the crowd seem to be happy. It's because there's an aura in the air. There's an aura with this guy, just like there was with Tyson. You know he's going to get to him. You know he's going to knock someone out. He's a real fan favorite. Possibly my favorite boxer out right now. Maybe that's a big shout, but he definitely could be. I'm really interested to see what he does next. Get on YouTube, have a look, try and learn from him, enjoy him, and that's the first Spotlight episode.